Now at 5, conflict in the Carthage City Council as motions are filed against the city administrator and mayor. Plus, we're going to check back in with a student-run coffee shop in Fredonia, Kansas, 5 years after opening. And
the U.S. works to upgrade security ties to counter China. I'm Skyler Henry at the White House as President Biden welcomes the Japanese Prime Minister for an official visit.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
City of Carthage will host a meeting tomorrow to discuss the possible removal of the city administrator, Greg Dagnon, and consider articles of impeachment against the mayor. This is KOAM News at 5. I'm Dow Quick. The decision to hold a special meeting to discuss these and other topics was made during last night's City Council meeting, the first for some new Carthage City Council members. The initial motion was proposed by Mayor Pro Tem Alan Snow. According to Snow, the city is currently divided and has, quote, lost trust in the City Hall.
I believe that we've experienced a lot of divide in our city over the last year, and I don't believe that our city, because of the distrust, can move forward with the city administrator still serving.
We're all one team, and if they don't want me on their team, that is okay, but there's actually rules that must be followed. There are our charter, ordinances, and state laws, and they need to follow them, and they're not doing that.
City Council also approved a motion declaring no confidence in the leadership of Mayor Dan Reif. We're going to have more details on the conflict tonight at 6 and on KOAMNewsNow.com. City of Joplin announces plans to revitalize Ewart Park thanks to voters renewing the quarter-cent parks and stormwater sales tax. Those plans include developing a new splash park, which the city says would be a state-of-the-art seasonal park to replace the aquatic center. It would feature water areas during the summer and an ice skating ribbon during the winter. They also plan to add a new playground, multi-use basketball court, and amphitheater. You can check out the designs through a virtual open house on our website. The Hive Coffee Shop in Fredonia, Kansas is celebrating 5 years of business. The student-operated business made its grand opening in 2019 and has since become a staple in the community. Students begin their day before sunrise and have the shop ready to open at 7 a.m. Today, the shop offered a discount on all food and drinks to celebrate the anniversary.
You know, we have our bumps in the road and things don't always go smoothly, but for the most part, we've had a very successful path, and the kids have been, if they've told you I don't make the coffees, it's them. And they have to train each other, they have to guide each other, because I am a good cleaner and I can help schedule things, but as far as making the coffee, it's them.
Also, to celebrate the anniversary, the Hive had hot dogs available for lunch and the school band played music. We're going to have more on the history of the Hive tonight at 6. Right now, though, let's check in with meteorologist Lindsay Gaffney for our first look at the weather.
We've had a pretty rainy day today, but the system is now starting to rotate out. Should be clearing out in the next few hours, about 8 or 9 tonight. But if you take a look even further south, they've had some pretty serious storms and even a tornado down in Louisiana as well. So we're just getting the top end of that storm, nothing too serious. We've had some heavier rainfall, maybe some localized flooding. But as it moves out of here, we're going to have a nice stretch of warm and sunny days ahead for the next few days as we see a ridge forming over our area. We don't have the next rain chances coming in until next Tuesday. So you can expect tonight temperatures drop down to about 45 and rain clears out around 8-9 p.m. Mostly cloudy skies overnight, but they'll clear first thing in the morning. And I'll have more details on what you can expect tomorrow in just a bit.
See you soon. President Joe Biden and First Lady Jill Biden are hosting a state dinner in honor of the Japanese Prime Minister and his wife. But before the festivities could begin, there was work to do strengthening a military alliance between the two countries. Skyler Henry has more details now from the White House.
President Biden and Japan's Prime Minister spent the day finalizing new military agreements to counter threats from North Korea and China.
And continue to enhance and ensure Indo-Pacific remains a free, open, and prosperous region of the world.
The two countries will expand cooperation with a new U.S. military structure in Japan that improves integration between the two forces. The countries will produce weapons together with a new military industrial council and a new pact that integrates the U.S., Japan, and Australia's anti-missile defense systems. President Biden said this should not provoke military aggression from China.
It's a defensive alliance, and the things we discussed today improve our cooperation and are purely about defense and readiness.
The two leaders discussed other global concerns, including the Israel-Hamas war.
As I told Prime Minister Netanyahu, our commitment to Israel's security against these threats from Iran and its proxies is ironclad.
Biden said Netanyahu has promised to allow more aid into Gaza and to try to limit civilian deaths.
We'll see what he does in terms of meeting the commitments he made to me.
Both leaders were asked about Russia's war in Ukraine. President Biden used his answer to try to put pressure on House Speaker Mike Johnson to take up a bill to supply Ukraine with more aid.
The war in Ukraine comes on by the House leader allowing a vote. There's overwhelming support for Ukraine among the majority of Democrats and Republicans. There should be a vote now.
The president also said he stands by his opposition to the sale of U.S. steel to Japanese-based Nippon Steel. Outside of war and politics, the Prime Minister announced Japan will be gifting 250 new cherry trees to celebrate America's upcoming 250th birthday. Skyler Henry, CBS News, the White House.
President Biden said the trees will be planted on the tidal basin in Washington, D.C. near the MLK Memorial. Still ahead, getting more and more expensive.
Prices are still climbing, according to a new government inflation report. I'm Bradley Blackburn with where consumers are paying more and what it means for the economy.
And next in Health Watch, the EPA announces new standards for chemicals in drinking water. Topping today's Health Watch, the Environmental Protection Agency today announced a new rule to limit harmful chemicals in our drinking water. The agency says the change will prevent thousands of deaths and reduce tens of thousands of serious illnesses. Michael George reports.
The EPA announced a new national drinking water standard to protect Americans from toxic chemical pollution.
These chemicals entering our environment in an uncontrolled manner are harmful to our families, harmful to our communities, and harmful to our economy.
The new EPA rule requires water systems to monitor, reduce, and report high levels of 6 of the most common and toxic chemicals known as PFAS, or forever chemicals.
PFAS are called forever chemicals because no one has been able to measure their half-life in the environment. They don't occur naturally, and so nature has not come up with a way of breaking them down.
Exposure to high levels of these chemicals has been linked to cancers, liver and heart issues, and developmental issues for infants and children.
You can't smell these chemicals, you can't taste them, you can't see them at levels that are dangerous to your health. So that's why these new rules are so important.
This is the first ever national legally enforceable drinking water standard. The EPA estimates it'll reduce PFAS exposure for approximately 100 million Americans. There are about 15,000 different types of these human-made chemicals. They're used in everyday products, including food packaging, nonstick cookware, cosmetics, and other personal care products. The EPA estimates 6 to 10% of the 66,000 public drinking water systems in the country will likely need to make changes to meet the new standards. Michael George, CBS News.
The EPA announced nearly $1 billion in funding to help states and territories meet the new standards. The EPA also issued new rules to protect people living in areas near chemical manufacturers. More than 100,000 Americans live within 6 miles of factories that release toxic chemicals, increasing their risk of getting cancer. The new rule cuts the amount of hazardous pollutants factories are allowed to release. Officials say that'll cut the cancer risk for people in those communities by 96%. That is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, our Pet Vet on Call.
Hi, I'm Dr. Eva Dudek from Parsons Pet Hospital. Come up, we're going to talk about dog park etiquette.
And we've had a lot of rain in the area. Finally clears out tonight. We'll have all the details right after the break. It has been a rainy, dreary day all day long. And we're taking a look outside at Indigo Sky Casino Resort camera. You can see it's still pretty dreary out there. Not as rainy anymore. Rain has started to clear out, but we've gotten a lot of rain, and even just north of Joplin, almost 3 inches of rain, and that's still going as we see this system starting to rotate out, but it's just kind of sitting over in our central counties right now. It'll start to rotate out a little bit later today, but we could also take a look and see the bigger system. We're getting the top end of the system that went through Dallas. However, there's another storm system that went through some of the southern states, dropped a tornado out in Houston and in Louisiana. So luckily we didn't get any severe weather. We just got a lot of rainfall. Now it is going to start to clear out, and we're going on a warming trend after that. We'll see the details in just a moment, but you can start to see how this rain is going to start to rotate out. This is about 8 p.m. tonight. A few showers still sticking around in our eastern counties. However, after that it clears out pretty quickly, and then following that, about 5 a.m. we're going to have clear skies as we go into the morning tomorrow. Now it's going to be a pretty nice day, however, winds gusting up to 35 miles per hour. It's going to be a pretty windy day. Now it's also going to be dry, relative humidity levels less than 30%. However, with all the rainfall that we've gotten, it may not be a concern for fire weather just due to all of the soils are already pretty saturated. Temperatures get up to about 63 degrees tomorrow, and we'll take a look and see what kind of winds you can expect and around what time. So this is about 6:30 in the morning, so winds pick up pretty early, gusting about 31 miles per hour, continuing on through the day, sticking around in the 30s to 35 range. This is about 1 p.m. on Thursday. After that, winds do start to decrease as we get to the later afternoon hours. Now we've got another chance of fire weather a little bit later into the weekend due to the fast winds and the drier conditions. And that's due to this ridge that we have forming over our region. And that brings nice warm temperatures, calmer skies, and slower winds typically. However, we do have a couple of days of pretty windy conditions. And on top of that, Saturday we'll also have some clouds in the area. But we do go on a warming trend. So starting tomorrow, it's still cool after all of the rain that we've gotten, only getting up to about 66 degrees. And we'll also have pretty windy conditions as well. Now, Friday will start to warm up, getting back into the 70s. That continues on Saturday and Sunday, getting into the 80s. So Saturday, only about 80, but Sunday, mid 80s across the region. It's going to be pretty hot and sunny all day long. Now, Saturday is our second day that we may see fire weather concerns because we do have winds gusting up to about 45 miles per hour on Saturday, and we don't have any rain for the previous days, so could be a concern for fire weather. Then temperatures Monday still 82. However, Monday night clouds start to increase, and we will start to see those thunderstorm chances kick back up early on Tuesday. And then for the next several days, scattered thunderstorms across the region.
So we don't want to be burning outside this weekend, but boy, the temps are going to be inviting, so it'll be nice to get outside anyway.
Definitely will. And Saturday with some clouds may still be pretty nice out there.
All right, very good. Thanks. Coming up, what a new government report shows about the state of inflation. Topping today's Consumer Watch, a new government report shows inflation continues to climb on top of already high prices. Bradley Blackburn looks at what's driving up those costs.
Gas prices are creeping up again. AAA says the national average for regular unleaded is up 22 cents a gallon in the past month, forcing many drivers to shift their expenses.
Making sure that we actually consider gas as a part of our budget now.
It's not just gas. Overall prices jumped 3.5% in March, up from 3.2% in February.
Definitely a disappointing report.
CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger says the increase was driven by energy costs and stubbornly high rent prices, which are up 5.7% in the past year.
Those two categories together accounted for over half of the increase.
Price hikes at the grocery are slowing down, but years of high inflation have taken a toll. A trip to the supermarket in 2019 that cost $100 now has shoppers shelling out around $133.
The new report is a bit of a 1-2 punch for consumers. Not only are everyday essentials more, but the cost of borrowing money for a home or car is expected to remain expensive.
The Federal Reserve increased interest rates over the past 2 years to slow the economy and lower inflation. Economists believed if prices drop this year, the Fed could start cutting rates this summer. But that expectation is changing.
A rate drop, a cut, is certainly off the table for the May meeting, probably the June meeting. I'm guessing perhaps the July meeting, unless things really improve.
Schlesinger says many experts are now forecasting the first cut may not come until September. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
Now, many Americans are concerned about saving enough money for retirement, and inflation is playing a big role in those calculations. According to a recent study from Northwestern Mutual, U.S. adults believe they're going to need about $1.5 million to retire comfortably. That's 53% more than people thought they needed just 4 years ago. CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger shared some tips for saving for the future on CBS Mornings.
You figure out your spending, you look at your saving, you look at how long you're probably going to live, and you plug into one of these retirement calculators.
Okay.
Here's what I got. It's going to say, you're not doing enough. And then you've got a series of choices. Do I work longer? Do I spend less? And one that I love, do I create an off-ramp for myself? Do I work really hard till I'm 55, 60 years old, and then try to do something for another 5, 10, 12 years that really makes me happy, brings in some money, but doesn't actually exhaust me?
According to the study, U.S. adults have saved an average of about $88,000 for retirement. More than 4 million Americans turned 65 this year, the largest surge to date of people hitting the traditional retirement age. Our Pet Vet on Call next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, we meet the original Rosie the Riveters as they're honored for their service. Then on KOAM News at 6, we're going to have more on the disputes among Carthage City Council members over the state of the city. Plus, Pitt State hosts its annual School of Construction Expo. And a Labette County High School basketball standout signs to continue his career at an area community college. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. These warmer, longer days give us more opportunities to get outside with our dogs, and that might include trips to our community dog park. Well, today's question for our Pet Vet on Call, is there such a thing as dog park etiquette?
Oh, most definitely. Spaying and neutering is really critical. Your pets should be spayed and neutered because if a mating occurs in a dog park, it does not go over very well with either party. Never bring food into a dog park. Training treats are okay, but I would not recommend having a picnic with your pet in the dog park because a lot of them are food aggressive. Definitely not bring their favorite ball or frisbee if there's other dogs in there because that can cause a little bit of a jealous fight. And if you know your dog is a bully, don't bring him in there with other dogs or especially smaller dogs. The good thing about dog parks is that they are neutral territory. So because it's neutral, nobody has the urge to protect anything, and there's very seldom any fights.
Hey, we invite questions from anyone. If you have a question, you just send it to petvet@koamtv.com. Dr. Eva Dudek from the Parsons Pet Hospital answers a different question or brings us a fun fact every Wednesday right here on KOAM News at 5. You can also find answers to previous questions on our website. Let's check out our picks of the litter now. A couple of dogs this week. First up, we have Chief. The shelter says he's a 2 to 3 year old yellow lab golden retriever mix with a moderate energy level. And then from the SEK Humane Society, we have Diesel, a 4-year-old male lab and husky mix who's looking for a home with no other pets. A couple of good looking dogs there. If you're looking for a pet, why not check out your local Humane Society? The weather not too bad out there at the moment.
Yeah, clearing out tonight. We see rain finally move out of our region around 8-9 tonight. Tomorrow is going to be a pretty windy day, but overall we're on a warming trend. So the next few days and weekend is going to be pretty nice. Pretty nice temperatures as well.
Looking forward to that for sure. Thanks for joining us. The CBS Evening News is next. And of course, we're going to be right back here for KOAM News at 6. See you then. Let's make it a great evening.